Welcome to the Women Choosing Growth podcast, where we feature inspiring stories of success, challenges of growth, and lessons learned from women entrepreneurs, industry experts, and thought leaders who have been through the growing pains inevitable as an entrepreneur. Whether you are just getting started or are looking to scale up your business, our show is designed to provide you with the tools, resources, and community you need to grow your business. Join your host, Tina Sue, a lifelong entrepreneur and business growth advisor, as we explore topics such as marketing, sales, finance, leadership, and personal growth, all tailored specifically to the needs of women entrepreneurs. So if you're ready to grow your business faster and smarter, then this podcast is for you. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started.
Ladies, get ready for an amazing episode. We have Elyse Archer. She is founder of She Sells, also podcast host of She Sells Radio. And although it seems like she might be talking about sales, we go so much deeper into our conversation today. She really is passionate about really helping women entrepreneurs and sales professionals to really own themselves, basically. And those are my words. She says it much better in our conversation today, but is really helping to break free from things like our mindset and some of the blocks that we all seem to have, and how to really get to that you particularly want in life. She talks about her journey on how she helped herself go from her annual income turned into a monthly income, and how you can too. So also has a book coming up, so stay tuned. We talk very deeply about the things that we need to break free from and how to do it. So stay tuned for Elyse Archer.
Welcome back to another show, ladies. We have an amazing guest today. Elyse Archer is a mentor to female business owners just like you and sales professionals. She shares strategies and ideas on how to sell in a way that feels natural and aligned for you as a woman. Break through 6 and 7 figure income marks and use your money in a way that creates real positive change in the world. And I love a quote that she says, because honestly, when women make more money, everybody wins. So she's also a great podcast host. You have to check out her podcast, She Sells Radio. And she just released, as of last week, a new book called Permission to Be Powerful. Welcome to the show, Elyse.
Oh, Tina, thank you so much. I love this. This is such a fun conversation already. I know we're just getting started, and I can't wait to dive in. So thank you again so much for having me.
Good. And we do have some really important topics to cover today. And I can't wait to hear but I really want to hear your story. You have turned your annual income into your monthly income. So let me say that again for our listeners. What she made in a year is now what she makes in a month. So I really want to hear about that. But first, I really love to hear about the journey, because this doesn't happen overnight. You don't just wake up one day and you're making 7 figures. So how did you become the expert that you are today? And what were some of those moments in life that brought you to where you are?
Oh my gosh, so many moments. And it's so true, right? Like you and I were kind of laughing in the pre-chat. Wouldn't it be nice if you just woke up and you were there? But I actually don't think so, because my own belief and experience has been, it really is that process of becoming the woman who has the results you want that's the most gratifying. And then it's like, the money is kind of the cherry on top, right? The results are kind of the cherry on top. So sometimes easier said than done when we're in those moments of contrast in life. But
agreed, 100%.
But yeah. So with that being said, I'll share. There's been, I would say, 2 kind of pivotal points in life when a lot changed that would hopefully provide some relevant takeaways for your listeners. So I'll share first a bit of the backstory. I was just laughing about this with someone this morning. I think a lot of us don't necessarily intend to get into sales. I didn't intend to get into sales. And I went to college. This will date me. I went to college and thought I was going to be a newspaper reporter. So that was my vision and goal. And I wanted to get into media and journalism. And I have a very vivid memory of, I must have been like 19 years old and sitting in my news ed class. And my professor shared how much you would make as a newspaper reporter. And at the time, I was like, still a teenager. I didn't know that much, but the number he said was so low that I remember thinking,
You knew it was low.
even then, I don't think that's going to cut it. So simultaneously in college, I had been doing sales jobs on the side, and I found that I was quite good at them and I enjoyed them. And so when I got out of school, I went into corporate media sales, climbed that ladder, did all the right things, checked the boxes. And in my late 20s, I found myself top of the leaderboard at work, looking on the outside like I had it all together. So nice house, nice car. I was married. All the things where I had to check the box, check the box, check
boxes.
the box.
Yes,
Exactly. And what I wasn't telling anyone though, Tina, was that I was in so much turmoil inside. I was having anxiety, panic attacks, dealing with an eating disorder. And what I wasn't aware of that I am now aware of is just everything in my life was so out of alignment because I had really sought success through so much outer validation. And I had stopped listening to my inner knowing about the right path for me. And so I reached a point, this was right at my 28th birthday, and 28 is a special number to me. It's just my number. I see it everywhere. I was born on the 28th. Sure. It's just my number. And I said, I am not going to spend this 28th year of my life living something that on the outside looks good, but I feel terrible every day living it. And so I ripped the Band-Aid off and decided to make a lot of massive changes really quick. And I left the marriage. I was terrified of judgment with that, but did it. I left the corporate job, again, was doing great in corporate. But there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that wasn't right and wasn't good. And I was like, I'm going to go out and start a coaching business. Had one client who'd paid me $300 to a presentation for him.
For the year.
Yeah, proof of concept. I could make money outside of this job. I'm going. I probably have a higher risk tolerance than some, although I know everyone's listening is an entrepreneur, so they probably get it, right? Like if one person pays me, I got this. I could go.
Yeah, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And I went on this journey of kind of unraveling my life, everything I had built up until that point. Mm-hmm. And so again, that was late 20s. There's been a lot of amazing synchronicities, serendipities that happened along the way. 6 months to the day that I made that decision, was not looking to meet someone new, but I met someone at a networking event and I knew within 5 minutes he was my person, and we are now married and we have 2 beautiful boys together. And so it's been a beautiful personal journey, but I'm going to kind of do a gap of about 10 years there. And then I'm going to fast forward.
Sure.
Maybe not 10 years, maybe more like 7 years. So even after having made all of those changes and getting my life really aligned, like, building my own business, becoming an entrepreneur, finally in a happy, thriving marriage, all of that. The one piece that I couldn't figure out was still, no matter what I did, I couldn't break past a certain income threshold. And so I was someone who probably a lot of people listening can maybe relate, driven, motivated, ambitious, like, I like making money. I'm not going to shy away from it, right? I think any of us who are entrepreneurs, we hopefully want to provide a great service, and we also love the freedom that life can provide. But no matter what I did, and I was working hard, Tina, working hard, working all hours, investing tens of thousands of dollars in coaching and tactical strategy, but I could never move the needle financially. And I remember there was a point in time when our first son was 4 months old, and I was up late night reading, which any moms get. It's like if you're nursing, you're up,
you're doing something
crazy hours. Yeah, you got to do something. And I was reading Bronnie Ware's Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Have you read that book?
I have not. No. It's
amazing. If anyone needs a good kick in the pants to go out and just actually go for the thing you want, it's a phenomenal book for that. So Bronnie was a hospice worker who sat with people on their deathbeds. And she said there are these top 5 regrets that everyone has. And one of them, the most common, was, I wish I had had the courage to live a life that was true to me rather than what everyone else expected of me. And I realized even in that point where I had made so many changes and already quantum leaped in many ways, I was still in many ways hiding. And I was amazing. I had some amazing people I was partnered with who had come alongside and helped partner with them in their business. Like some of my best friends on this planet, incredible people. But I was hiding behind them. I had a vision of doing something greater on my own, but was too afraid to step out and do it. And I was hiding on social media. I was hiding by not having enough money to do things that I really wanted to do. So I wasn't aware of that, but I was using my money story as a convenient way of hiding. And I just said, I don't care what it takes. I don't want to go to the end of my life and say, I never lived a life that was really true to me, because I knew there was a calling in my heart and in my life, which is a lot of what we talk about in the book, Permission to Be Powerful, to do something much greater. Because life was like good, but it wasn't great. So I said, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to finally bust through any and all limitations and figure out what's really possible for my life. So I think many of us have had those moments where we make that commitment and then we're like, now what? Like lightning didn't crash, nothing happened. What does it mean? But then if you're open, you'll get a nudge, you'll get some guidance. And just a couple of days after making that commitment, I felt guided to listen to a podcast from a woman who coached female entrepreneurs to become millionaires. I was like, that's me. I like that. I want to do that.
Sign me up, right?
Sign me up. Yeah. And of course, she says she's got a spot for a private coaching client. I'm like, all right, universe, I'll bite. We get on the discovery call. It feels so aligned. I'm like, yes, I know I need to do this. And then I find out that the investment for coaching is $50,000 for 6 months, which up until that point, I'd been making $100,000 a year. And I hadn't been setting it aside. I was like, we were burning through it. But there was something, so I was terrified. Every limiting belief came up. There was something, Tina, in me that said, you have to do this, because I knew I had said, I'll do whatever it takes. Just, I'm going to follow the nudges. And here it was in front of me. And this is something that I've found to be so true, is when we are quantum leaping and when we are ready to really elevate, we are going to be asked to do things that are so stretchy and so uncomfortable that the old version of us would absolutely not do. But that's actually the whole point of it, is it stretches you so far out of your comfort zone. So petrified, I trusted my intuition. I said, I'm going to find a way to make this work. I scraped together the deposit on a credit card, and I proceeded for a period of a couple of weeks to encounter every limiting belief I'd ever had about money, who I was, what I was capable of. But because I was so in it and I had no choice but to be in it, I was actually forced to look at them and to start questioning everything I never thought about my limitations. And I started showing up differently and taking different types of action, taking bolder action, doing things the old version of me wouldn't have done in my business, getting far more visible on social media, doing things that felt petrifying. And in 6 weeks of making that firm decision, so it wasn't like, oh, this would be nice. It was a firm decision. This is changing. That's when I went from having been stuck at the same level for over a decade financially to turning my annual income into my monthly income. And it happened so fast, Tina, it didn't seem like it should be possible. So even when I say that sometimes now, I'm still like, it doesn't seem real, but it was. And when I look back on it, what I've been able to discover is it wasn't working harder. It wasn't more of the same. It was a very different approach. And it's something we now teach in our methodology called the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth, that create these tremendous leaps for people who may have been stuck. And so much of it, I'll just say this and then I'll turn it back to you. So much of it is identity work, because what I've found and come to understand is your results will never supersede your identity. So in that period of 6 weeks, I literally formed a new identity for myself, a new self-concept that was free of the old restrictions and old beliefs, and who actually felt worthy of what she wanted and started thinking differently and showing up in a more elevated way. So please take that wherever you want, but that's a bit of the backstory, and it's a lot of the backstory. But hopefully that helps serve your audience.
It does. You've said so much in there. Very inspiring. And I'm a type of person who loves to be stretched too, which is my other half does not. So it's always interesting, like the dynamic. Not everyone loves that very uncomfortable feeling.
Mm.
So I totally get that. And kudos to you for feeling the pull and actually acting on it, because
Mm.
again, not everybody does. So
Sure.
that's amazing. I do want to point out one thing that you said without saying it, and I think it's something that people need to hear often. We're both business coaches of whatever industry still need coaches and
Oh,
advice, or
yeah.
whatever you call it, advisors, coaching, mentors. So you paid a pretty penny for someone to assist you. And so that's something that I see, I hear often is like, oh, well, like if I hire someone, then that means that I'm not the expert that I should be. It's
Oh,
like, no, like even
yeah.
personal trainers train with other people. Like
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I wanted to point that out, because that is a way to continually to better yourself in your craft.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely. I personally would not hire a coach who wasn't actively like growing and
With
developing themselves, because
exactly.
you're always going to just rise to the level of your current understanding, right? So I think that's critically important. And I've had seasons in life where it's been a really stretchy coaching investment like that. I've had seasons in life where it's not, but I'm always working with a mentor of some sort, and I can tell you do too because of that question.
Mhm.
And I think it's critical, right? Because when we hire mentors, to me, I want to hire a mentor not for a strategy, but I want to learn how they think. I want to find someone who has the life and the results that I want, and I want to learn how they think. And so I'm constantly looking to up level there.
And I like the
Yeah.
questions that they ask me, questions that I would be asking other people, like,
Yes, it's
oh, great
nice.
question. I've been avoiding that. Like
Yep.
that's deep down. How am I
Yep.
gonna
You got to have a mirror
you
always.
gotta have a mirror, like a mirror that's going
Hmm.
to stretch you. Exactly.
Yes.
Hey, incredible women entrepreneurs. It's Tina Sue here. I know you're juggling a lot, growing your business, managing family time, and trying to find balance. Deep down, you know you're capable of so much more, but maybe fear or uncertainty is holding you back from achieving that dream business, that dream life that you deserve. That's why I created the Dream Big, Plan Bigger guide, a game changer for your business growth. This isn't just another goal-setting document. It's your personal roadmap to achieving the impossible. Imagine having a clear vision of your biggest dreams, breaking through the barriers that hold you back, and reigniting that passion that fuels your journey. This guide is your roadmap to doing just that without compromising your family time or your personal priorities. You deserve to see your business thrive and still have time for what you love. Let's take this journey together. Download your free Dream Big, Plan Bigger workbook now at tina-sue.com and start making those dreams a reality. Now, let's get back to the show. Let's talk about the coaching that you do, because sales is a dirty word for some people, including entrepreneurs, which is interesting because you
Yeah.
need sales to have a business. So share with us about what it is that you help entrepreneurs do from your coaching program.
Sure, sure. I laugh, Tina, because a lot of times people they'll start listening to our podcast and they'll say, "Oh, I thought this was going to be about sales." And it's actually about so much more.
Yeah.
so,
That's the point.
Yeah, exactly. Sales is really the Trojan horse, I think, in what we do and in our marketing. And we absolutely help. I say we because I've got an amazing team now that I partner with in what we do. We absolutely help with sales strategy. And according to neuroscience, only 2 to 5% of our results in sales, business and life are based upon the actual actions that we're taking, our conscious thinking and our conscious actions. The remaining 95 to 98% are based on more of that identity work, like we were talking about earlier. When I finally had my own breakthrough experience after having been stuck for so long, it wasn't just more action. In fact, it was less action, but it was crafting a new identity. So we again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was able to look back at what happened and say, how in the world did this happen and happen so fast after I've been trying so hard for so long? And this methodology that we now teach, called the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth, came together. We call them the 4 M's, and I'll just briefly walk through them. And it's sometimes a little easier if you can see it, but if you can just kind of picture in your mind like a square divided with 4 little boxes inside, that's basically what it looks like. It's not too fancy. But the first one is mind over matter. And when I say that, most people probably think, oh, just push through, like just get past it, hustle. That's not what I mean. We incorporate both neuroscience and quantum physics in this quadrant. And it's literally mind over the physical 3D matter in your world. So this is where we help people with belief reprogramming. We help people with self-concept and identity work, really crafting who is that identity of the person who has the results that you want. And then how do you start living into that? Because in sales and in life, we don't get what we want, we get what we are. So you can say, oh, I want a 7-figure business, and I'm going to put a picture of 7 figures on my vision board and I'm going to look at it. Well, that's maybe a tiny piece of it. But what are the thoughts, feelings, and actions that you would be having from that place of a 7-figure business? And then you want to get clear on that and then start practicing those every day. And yes, there will be limiting beliefs that come up around it. Yes, it will feel uncomfortable. Yes, your brain will tell you to stop going. And so that's where we have to have really good, to your point earlier, mentoring to help us know what to do when the limiting beliefs come up and know not to listen to them. So that's the first quadrant, mind over matter. The second is money. And I don't think people realize how much money blocks contribute to sales blocks, but your level of income will never exceed your level of self-worth. So most people will make what they saw their parents make growing up, because that's just what they got conditioned was a normal amount to make. This is why when I got out of school, I immediately went and made 6 figures, because that's what I'd seen my parents do. And then I stayed there, and I stayed stuck there for 10 years. And because I was programmed to make that amount. I didn't know it.
You're making a good living. You're like checking another box. Like,
checking
yep,
the
I made
box,
it.
checking the box. It's a safe, comfortable. It was a safe, comfortable amount, but it wasn't what I really wanted. And so with money, people have so much money stuff that they get to work through. And they
I've
don't
seen
realize
it.
how
I
much.
agree.
We don't realize how much this blocks our sales results, but your subconscious will only allow you to make the amount of money that you feel worthy of receiving. So it will literally block opportunities, give you poor timing, have you say the wrong thing on a sales call to block an opportunity for money if you do not feel in alignment with making more. So helping people up their financial set point is huge. So if you want to make, a lot of people come in and they want to make maybe their first 6 figures, then multi-6, and then 7. So much of that is just upping your financial set point so that you feel comfortable and normal around making that amount of money. So we do that work with clients, because then the results kind of naturally follow from there. The third quadrant, and bear with me because the old version of me would have scoffed at this and said, I don't know what that is. That sounds weird and woo, and I'm going to dismiss it. But it actually is tremendously impactful. Learning how to integrate your masculine and your feminine energy. So
tell me more.
Yeah, I know. And for a lot of, especially like high achieving driven women.
Explain that, please.
Right. I know we're like, what is feminine? I don't know. I wear skirts. Is that it? That's not.
I was more like, where's my masculine side?
Yeah. Also that, right? Like I think most people can say, oh, I tend to be in one camp more than another. So we all have both types of energy in us, right? Men, women, doesn't matter your gender. We all have both types of energy. I'll do a quick example. So I've got my cup of tea here. So masculine is structure, support, systems. It's like the cup that holds the tea inside. We need this. So you can think about this like your CRM, your calendar, your scripts. If you use sales scripts, we need this. This is important. We need to have this in our business. However, what I found, I was living out, and a lot of our community is living out before they come to us, is I was completely in masculine when I was stuck at the same income level. And so the masculine is doing, it's hustle, it's let's get it done, it's goal oriented, it's outcome driven, important in our businesses. And if we are all there, it's like having a cup that's supposed to have something like life-giving water in it to drink, and there's no water. So if someone is listening and they find themselves burnt out, depleted, overwhelmed, exhausted, that's an automatic indicator that you're too far in your masculine, because the feminine, it's about flow state. It's about receiving. It's about intuition. It's about spontaneity. It's about the quantum leap. So when I quantum leaped, I didn't do more masculine. I actually tapped way into my feminine, which is about possibility. It's about what do I really want, not what do I think I can get. It's about fun. It's about play. It's about enjoying the process. And so that is actually when I look for like a good ratio for how do people quantum leap, I look for about 70% feminine, 30% masculine. So the more we can tap into that state of fun and flow and receiving, we actually, we stop gripping and micromanaging the result so much. And in that releasing of the grip, we're actually able to allow in what we want. So there's a lot of energy to this. But so that's the third quadrant. And then the fourth quadrant is the method. So this is where we're talking strategy. Now, this is custom and different for everyone. And so I've been privileged to work with and coach and mentor some of the top entrepreneurs in the world, the top rep for Salesforce, like some of the leading sales professionals in the world. So the strategy piece to me is the easy part. That's all good. Any strategy will work. That's the thing. I don't think there's one silver bullet. A lot of it is your belief in the strategy and your belief in yourself. But so we call those first three the big three. So mind over matter, money, and then masculine and feminine, because again, according to science, these contribute to 95 to 98% of your results. The method is just like the cherry on top. And I think the problem is most people are all method, or a lot of people have been trained all method. But it's like if you want to build a skyscraper, you would need a really solid foundation to lay it on. And that's those big three, which most people don't pay attention to or they dismiss because they think they don't matter. So
they're all strategy.
That's how it works. Exactly. Yeah.
Strategy and tactical, like
that's it. Yeah.
Tactics to go check more boxes.
Send this DM, so use this script. Again, any of it can work. It's all about your belief in it.
I so believe in that. Thank you for slowing that down and really sharing that. And any, materials that you want to attach to this podcast, awesome. I'd be happy to help share that as well.
Thank you.
So, what kind of people do you work with? Who's best for this quadrant?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're building out a free training on it right now. So by the time this airs, we'll probably have it ready and we can share it. So that would be, I'd be happy to share that. And I appreciate that. So we work with both sales professionals and entrepreneurs. When I launched the company, I thought it was going to be more sales professionals just because of my background. And it's probably 70% entrepreneurs now, 30% sales professionals, but an amazing mix of both. And I would say, again, everyone is unique. We have people who are just starting off in their career. And we also have people who have kind of reached that tipping point where they're like, this is good. Things are good. Life is good. I've checked the boxes, but I've hit a ceiling. I've hit a plateau and I can't figure out how to break through it. And they're ready for far greater results with far greater ease as well. So I think the common denominator is a great desire for more and a yearning and an interest in learning sales and business from oftentimes a feminine perspective, where it's not all about the hustle, the push, the grind. And and there's actually the possibility of achieving far greater sales and business results and having time with your family or kids and having time for self-care and, having time for travel and vacation, because I do think that we can have it all. And it's all about just, again, your belief in your self-concept and who you are and how hard you're going to have to work to get to where you want to go.
I agree. And as a goal-oriented person that I am, I believe I ask clients that a lot. Like, what is your goal? Is it to take a big vacation? Like that can be our carrot, if you will. I love it. Absolutely.
Mm.
So I can imagine all this work, the mindset, the money blocks, getting out of our own heads, and being open to allow for some of those nudges. This does not happen overnight. So kind of talk to me about what the process is. And imagine, I'm guessing, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but people will probably pop in between those different quadrants. We think we got the money thing figured out, and then it pops back up 2 months later. Am I, because I'm sort of looking at like the people I work with and myself be flopping all over the place. How does that work? I mean, how do you help people break through this? This is deep stuff.
It is. And it's not therapy. Like, we have people come in who are like, oh, I've been doing therapy. And actually what is beautiful is a lot of people find they can release a lot of the things that they've been doing that's kept them stuck in the past. Although I love getting whatever support you need. I think that's so important. But it is deep work. It's very deep work. You're right, because we do inner child. We do a lot of belief rewiring work. We go there to where did that belief come from? And then we help switch it. So what's so powerful about what you said, Tina, is that yes, people absolutely are moving through those 4 quadrants all the time. I think this is an Abraham Hicks thing where it's contrast always lives at the edge of your next level. So what I find is that this is my own life too. Every time we ascend and we're like, man, I did it. Like, we hit the new goal, we hit the new target, we make the new hire, we hit the revenue goal. All of a sudden, now because we are goal-oriented people, we're always setting a higher bar. There's nothing wrong with that. I love that. I think that's actually how we're wired. But then you're gonna find you're bumping up again against limiting beliefs, against money blocks, because there's a new version of you who's going to have to emerge in order to have that new result. So you're gonna, at a certain point, you're gonna have to become a much better leader. You're gonna have to become much better at trusting people. And this has been part of my own journey too, because I was such a lone wolf for a long time. That was my safety and comfort zone. So I've gotten to really work on myself and what does it look like to bring in a lot more people, and how do I grow in that as a leader in that? So that was my growth edge, even after all of this happened. And you'll find there's new limiting beliefs that come up. There's new challenges that come up. So we go where we need to go for many of those 4 quadrants. And to me, it's a living, breathing embodiment of, based on the result I want to create, who is that person who's at that level? What are her thoughts? What are her feelings? What are her actions? And that can be, so we're going to be playing in all of those quadrants, right? Money, like how worthy do I feel of the money I want? Where do I notice my brain tells me I can't have that? Is it like $1 million month? Is it more? Is it less? Like, where does your brain shut it and say, not going to happen? So you kind of notice where your edge is, or where do I keep having this pattern happen with team? And no matter who I hire, they always drop off, or this happens or that happens. Okay, that's something in you. So I'm all things I've gotten to work on in myself. But so that's why I think it's important to have a skill set where you can say, okay, this is a money limiting belief. This isn't actually true. There is another way I could approach this. And again, to your point earlier, that's the power of mentorship, is having someone who can like mirror that to you and help you think completely outside of the box you've been thinking in about what's possible for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely love it. And I was relating myself to that too, of ping ponging all over the place, and so much that I've learned. One thing you said about getting to the top of the mountain, I remember being 22. It was first like real job out of college. And someone said to me, well, what happens when you get to the top of your pyramid and you have reached your goal? And I looked at him like he had 3 heads, like, well, I would not ever be at the top of my pyramid. So I didn't know it at the time. I was not looking to be an entrepreneur in my early 20s. It happened at 26, but that because I was pregnant. So like not even anything that I had thought of, but apparently that is wired in some of us to be like, there's no pyramid.
Yes. You know what? If I can just say something, like, I think it's wired in all of us. I truly think we are all wired to expand. I just don't think everyone is aware of that, but that's where complacency, dis-ease, those things set in, is when we're not allowing ourselves to expand.
I think you're probably spot on, because I think people stop at that uncomfortable zone. I've met several people, like I said, even my spouse does not like that stretching as much as I do.
Sure.
He does very much, but not as not as ridiculous as I like that. So I think people probably get to there and go like, "Oh, I'm at the top of the mountain. I'm good now." And really, there's a mountain right there that you could scale a little bit more. So.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a concept that we teach called selling from wholeness, because for so much of my life, I scaled mountains because I was seeking some sort of validation outside of me. And I thought if I can just get there, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be successful. Then I'll be abundant. Then I'll be worthy. And what I found in this process and even in that income quantum leap, the money didn't come or increase until after I figured out how to feel whole and worthy and abundant in myself, regardless of what the sales report said, regardless of the bank account, because those things are always just going to mirror who you're being. Again, it all mirrors your beliefs. So when we do the work to shed the old limiting beliefs and start to feel whole in ourselves, it's not that we stop climbing mountains. In fact, I think we climb far greater ones, but it's not from a gap. It's not like, oh, I have to do this because then I'll feel good enough. It's no, I'm good. I love myself. I feel worthy. I feel empowered. And from this place, I just want to see how good life can get. I want to see how much I can expand because it feels fun, not because I feel like I have to be good enough. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's such a difference.
It is. That's all great stuff. We could talk about this for days, but I do want to talk about your upcoming book. I'm assuming it is related. So tell us about it. It just released January 2024.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So what's fun about this community and getting to do this work is I get to see a lot of other, mainly women, although we have people of all different genders in our community, but mainly women, quantum leaping. And so one of the members of my mastermind, she came in maybe 2 years ago and was in a consulting role with an organization. She was just like burnt out and like not getting great treatment. And she said, I know there's something more for me, but again, she'd been stuck. She'd been doing the same thing forever. And there were some fears about that. So through the course of the mastermind and really doing her own kind of inner work there, at the end of 6 months, she had clarity and she was like, I'm going to go launch a publishing house. She was really smart, loved books, loved editing. It was always like a passion, but she just never thought it was something she could do. But she did it and she launched a publishing house. And when she did that, I was like, this is amazing. Like, we're going to publish our first She Sells book with her, because it's so full circle.
Sure,
and
I love
so, I had a number of women from my community collaboratively write this book called Permission to Be Powerful. And I write the foreword and a chapter in it. And then we've got a number of other women who contribute as well. But every woman's story in there is about a time when she realized that, it sounds very matrixy, but she realized that she was the one she'd been waiting for. So she realized she was looking to others to give her permission, validation, to go for the things she wanted. And when she just finally gave herself permission to be in her full power, what that looked like, and then how she gave herself that permission, because that can feel daunting sometimes when we're used to seeking everything externally. So it's beautiful because there's a lot of different perspectives. There's women who have different takes on it than I do, but every woman has her own version of it. And it's a really cool, collaborative anthology, really, of stories where you can see yourself mirrored in other women, and not just be inspired by the stories, but also get the how. How did it happen? How did you leave the job? How did you start your business? How did you quantum leap financially? And so it's a very, very cool book and something we're really proud of.
I absolutely can't wait to read it.
Thank you. Yeah.
That'll be right after this. I will be making that order.
Absolutely.
I do love hearing other inspiring stories, obviously. That's why I love hearing about yours as well. Did we miss anything? Is there like something else that I haven't asked that our listeners should know about quantum leaping?
No, this is a great conversation. You're a wonderful host. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the one thing that for whatever reason feels resonant for your audience, so I'll trust it, is knowing that your desires are green lights. So I look back, and we've all had these moments where we felt like we wanted to do something. We wanted to take a risk, whether you're wired like you and me, where we're like, yeah, let's go. Like I could break past the limiting beliefs, or maybe we're wired more like your partner and my partner, where they're like, oh, I don't know.
Maybe that's why they're our partners.
There's beauty and balance, right?
Yes, I would agree.
But we've all had those moments. And I bet everyone listening can look back at a time when you trusted yourself, even though it didn't make sense, even though it felt scary. And as Steve Jobs said, you'll only connect the dots looking backwards. But you can look and see, if I had not trusted my desires, if I had not trusted myself, life wouldn't be anywhere near what it is. And to me, the one that resonates for me most deeply in my own personal story is trusting myself to leave the marriage in my late 20s, even though it felt so scary and I was so afraid of judgment. But it was the first time I really trusted myself and took that action. And if I hadn't taken that action, I would not have met my partner, Jason. We've been married 7 years now and have a beautiful marriage, and I wouldn't have my kids. So it's like we can all look back and see that, and your intuition will never steer you wrong. Your desires will never steer you wrong when they're heartfelt, soul-aligned desires. So they are green lights. And it's always going to require you to stretch. It's going to require you to get uncomfortable. But that's also where the quantum leap comes from, is stepping into the unknown and actually trusting yourself in that. So I think that's when I think about what's the one thing I would tell my kids from my deathbed, it's like, trust yourself. Trust yourself, because you know for you better than anyone else.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I heard you say multiple times, and I've seen this in so many people's lives too, so I'll double down on what you said, but I will not say it nearly as eloquently as you did, but really about allowing. So many women are looking for that external validation. Like I'm worried about what people think if I get a divorce. What if I do make this money and, none of my friends do? Like, we have to stop allowing that to be part of our decision making. It's like, what is going to make you happy? And you said it much better than I did, but I just, so many times I see that where people, that's some of those limiting beliefs. So we need to love ourselves and not worry about what other people are going to think. They'll get over it, or they're not your friend.
Oh my gosh. Amen. Amen. We've been having this conversation so much in our community lately. And what you just said is like the most powerful exclamation mark to everything that I said. And I think I'll just add this one thing on, because this really helped me take action on things I've been wanting to take action on, was just the awareness of, I'm the only one who has to live my life. So why am I so busy trying to live it for other people when I'm the one who day in, day out is the one who has to live it? So why not make it something I actually want to live? Yep. And you start to have some real honest conversations with yourself from that point. And there will be adjustments and there will be shifts and changes, but remembering that when your intuition is guiding you in a certain direction, it's always going to be better. It's always, by law, it's going to be better. So you got to trust that, and you got to move forward on that. Yeah.
Amen to that. That's a great place to wrap up. I appreciate having you so much here today. And we're going to share your book link so people can jump on that and hear some more wonderful stories. And I do want to have you back because you're also writing another book that will be coming out next year-ish.
Yeah, that's the plan. And thank you so much. And it's a much deeper dive into some of what we talked about today. So I would be so honored. This was an amazing conversation. I'd love to come back.
And we'll also include all the links. So if people do want to jump on some of your programs and follow you on social media, we'll make sure we include all of that, because everything you said here today is things that we're all working through on a regular basis. So, and we need mentors in our life. We need those people to push us even farther than we're pushing ourselves. Ask those deep questions that we don't like being asked. Exactly. Yeah. It's our profession to ask other people those. So when they ask us, it's a little like, why are you asking me that? But it's important. So always appreciate having you here today.
Thank you, Tina.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. The Woman Choosing Growth Show is not just another podcast. It's a tribe of women helping each other grow. So please Share this podcast with all the women entrepreneurs that you would love to see succeed. If you'd like to know more about customized business advising through Cultivate Advisors, download business tools, or sign up for upcoming events, visit www.womenchoosinggrowth.com. Once again, that's www.womenchoosinggrowth.com. Remember, we are in this together. See you on the next one.